What's up, family? This is Bobby Belton, one of the associate ministers here at the River of Life. But today we're on the Agenda podcast talking about culture, Christianity, and church. And I must say that I'm honored to be able to host this show, especially for the reason why we're here, and that is to talk to musicians. I played trombone growing up, but that's neither here nor there. But I've always enjoyed talking and listening. I've always looked up to musicians. When they would travel, it would seem like they were the cool guys in the church atmosphere, but they all had their own little fraternity. And so today, I get an opportunity to interview some of the musicians that play here at the River, but also play in other spaces. And I'm honored to be here. And so I want to give introductions, but the way we're going to do introductions today is say your name, and then after you say your name, just describe what's the funniest thing you've seen or experienced in the church atmosphere. So whoever want to start, because this is a podcast. Let's go.
Going all the way over you.
Y'all just gonna jump over to me.
Yep.
So my name is Jaylen. I've been in church all my life. I done seen so many things. The first thing that comes to mind, I actually wasn't there, but it's on video. And it's a homie of mine. I'm not gonna say his name, but the video went viral. And y'all everybody in here knows it.
I know which one.
They in the middle of about to start the song, and he's on keys.
Oh yeah, I seen this one.
And it's the build up, like we about to jam out, like it's what it looked like, and they go 1, 2, 3. He hits the keyboard, and the whole thing falls.
Collapse.
Just straight collapse.
The piano, the keyboard collapsed. Yeah.
I
saw that one.
Like, what am I supposed to? Yeah, it was terrible, but it was comedy. It was definitely comedy. So that's the first thing to come to mind. But it's too many.
That's funny.
Too many.
I want to hear about a couple of them while we talking today, because it's gonna be good.
Nah, man, I remember that video. That joke was funny.
Yeah, that boy, man.
So Ed Anderson, and I think the funniest thing probably has been, I'll go with this one. I remember I was playing drums one time at a funeral down south in South Florida. And for a friend of ours, we were playing a funeral. And I'm on drums, and the roof of the drum cage falls in on me. That thought was crazy. I was like, wow, this is really happening.
That's
like,
crazy.
This is really going on.
Yeah, that's great.
That thing really fell in.
So you play drums?
I play drums and keys.
Mm-hmm. And Jaylen,
mainly keys now.
I'm anointed on pretty much anything you put me on. I'm anointed, but I'm mainly drums. It's most yokes that I've destroyed.
This guy
has been on the drums.
Oh my gosh!
All right.
I'm Donyea Goodman. The funniest thing I guess that happened at church happened to me, and we were having it was a gospel concert that we normally have as annual, and you got to get this picture of me because like I'm the guy where I'm at. And so I come in, it's 7:30, so it's dark outside. I come in with shades on, wearing I'm not in uniform. I'm just coming in like I'm playing. So whatever I got on is what's being worn. Y'all wear what you want to wear. And so I got the shades on, and I mean shades. When I say shades, I mean you look at me and see yourself in the shades. Like it was some shades, right? And I'm getting on the organ.
Right.
I'm getting on the organ, and you got to get this picture of me because I'm like, yeah. Okay, count it off. What we doing? Okay, we in. All right, we in E flat. All right, cool. And so everything is hot. Like they give this huge intro, and the band is hot, right? And then they count it off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I go, oh my God, I don't remember any songs. I remember none of the songs. And I'm sitting there going, I'm completely drawing a blank. Yeah. And so I'm like, and everybody goes, you supposed to start. You supposed to start it. And so
It's the worst.
I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm on organ. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do this big old rare end to whatever. I don't even know what's happening. And right as I did it, I would just be like, rare. It's like I don't even know what song this is about to be. And right as I did it, the tweeter horn flew out of the organ, like right across me on the stage. The band. The rubber band pulley, it snaps, and it just came out the organ. So the organ just sounded like just by itself.
What?
And
What key was that?
And we had to stop. I don't remember what key I was playing. I don't even remember. But I was
That's
just
funny.
I was like, I'm gonna do it, and then the organ just gargled, and the thing just fell out. And so we had to stop everything and start over. And it was like a relief to me because I was like, cool.
I
Let me
know
go
what
back
song
through
was
this playlist to see exactly what's. Literally drew it blank, and I'm like the coldest cat up there,
Right.
thinking like, yeah, I'm about to
smack.
wreck.
You got
I'm about to
humbled.
smack this. I remembered no songs, and that was a humility lesson at that point.
So before we get into the other question, then I gotta ask on the back end, what was the most embarrassing moment you've had?
Oh,
as playing?
by far for me, it was when the guy who was playing keys before me left the joint transposed, left the keys transposed, and I get up and I sit down to play, and we finna start the song.
Okay.
And it's not in the right key at all. I'm playing in the right key, and I'm like, they like, bro, that's too high. Like, what you mean it's too high? It's what we practiced it at. What you talking about? Joint was completely off.
Ed, I mean, listen.
out.
Hold on.
And
During
I-
service?
Yeah.
Ed,
It was bad.
you the one that transposed.
No, it wasn't me,
Don't
bro.
blame the other dude.
It wasn't me, man.
It was you. I mean, you
wasn't
just
me,
gotta
man.
live with that. Eat it.
It wasn't me.
Eat it.
I'm not eating that one because that one wasn't me.
Listen.
I used to
It wasn't me.
transpose when I was younger and I was learning. I used to.
Okay.
But I very quickly got broken out of
When
that.
I was a man.
Listen, when I was a kid, I did kid things. But when I decided I was going to get serious, I had to break that.
Right.
But that was really embarrassing because I'm like,
Okay.
dang, I didn't know this thing was even transposed. Couldn't tell. Messed me up.
Explain what transpose is. For the
So for the people who don't know, transposing is like you can play a song in this key, but it sounds like in that key. So if you're not good at playing in all your keys, you can cheat
Okay.
and get by playing in different keys, just playing where you're comfortable, but it's actually playing it in another key.
Huh.
It's kind of like when you know, like you playing NBA 2K,
Right.
and
put them game sliders up.
bro, you put all your game sliders. Yes, all you're cheating, bro.
Okay.
you trying
Okay.
to be you gonna take Manute Bol and put him with Jordan stats on there.
No,
you're
boy.
cheating.
Yeah, no, that's cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about anybody else got an embarrassing story? What happened?
Most embarrassing story. I want you to ask Clemens about this.
Oh my God.
So we have two services, 2 morning services in Chicago, and we took a break between the first service and the second service, and it was time to start praise and worship for the second service.
Okay.
So I'm new in Chicago, like I'm new, and I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to be cool because nobody knows me. So, but the way the stage is set up, you can't just walk straight up to the organ. You have to go to the other side of the stage and walk all the way across the stage to go to the organ. So, like I walk across stage, like I'm shimmying, and I'm like, cool, I'm about to slide on the organ. So, like I get some momentum to slide on the organ,
Oh no.
and that organ seat completely disintegrates under me.
Oh man.
No,
That is-
like
Oh, I thought it was about to be you
I thought you was like,
slid.
really?
no, the organ seat. I slid on the organ with the slide, and the organ seat just caved in, and I landed on my back at Clemens' feet because he was right on the
I
drums.
was laying
right
at
next
his
to me.
feet.
and I landed flat on my back. And I tried to hurry up and close my eyes, act like I was unconscious. But it was,
Yeah, stay there. Yeah, you gotta stay there.
that's
Hey,
funny.
commit.
I said I want everybody to think something happened to me.
Stay
So I
there.
fell down, and what happened was, I laid there, and it was dead quiet. You could hear him. I mean, the organ was in pieces.
Yeah, that was
like,
great.
and come to find out, the wood had rotted out.
Dang.
Right, the organ was in pieces, and so Clemens was sitting there. He didn't say anything to me, and everybody was like, "Is he okay?" And Clemens was like, "He's just embarrassed." Like he.
Hey, he was
That is
savage.
so Clement.
That
He's
is
like,
savage.
he all right. He's just embarrassed,
That's
and so
cool.
instead,
put
and
my
so
man out like
for the
that.
rest of the service, they brought out a table, so I had to sit on a table.
Oh, man.
and play the organ.
They didn't do the stack chairs?
No. It wouldn't work with the pedals, so they
Oh,
brought
okay.
this long table, and I had to sit on a table, or like a dinner table, and play the
Ah
organ.
Oh,
man,
Bless your heart.
that's funny.
What about you, Jay?
I don't really. I'm too good. This guy. I don't really have one, or I've been in the game for a long time, and I don't think I've ever embarrassed myself ever. I'm just the best.
Hi, LeBron.
Yeah, that's me. No, I actually
player in
do.
the world.
This thing haunts me to this day. And it kind of wasn't my fault. I was playing with it might have been my fault. I was playing with Ty Tribbett in Miami, and I was supposed to start a song. The click track starts the song, and I was supposed to start the song with the click track. I only get 4 clicks, and the click is not in my ears, but it starts. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing I hear is stems, which is all the music. So that means I'm way behind, but I was supposed to start the song. And he's looking back at me like, what you doing?
Right.
And so I got to jump in, but I jump in a completely different place. Like I'm on the wrong one. So I have to like literally, like it just haunts me because you just never want to mess up on a stage like that.
But never.
And so it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault because I couldn't hear the click.
Right.
But
So I gotta ask the last one for real because now you just said something.
Yeah.
All right, and so real quick, like just in one response, who is, how do I want to say it? Who is the most famous, or who's the best? I won't say most famous. Who's the best big person you've played for?
what do you mean by best?
I want to say, so I don't even know the word that I'm trying to use.
Yeah, like most
regards, right?
Who would you like to play with?
Or who have you
Again.
played with that's just like,
That's been the best
experience. That's dope.
Ty was that for me.
Okay.
Because he's on my Mount Rushmore gospel.
Okay.
My Mount Rushmore
Okay.
gospel.
Okay. See, now you about to bring up a whole nother.
Yeah,
but we
he's
gotta
on
get
my
something
Mount
else.
Rushmore gospel. So like I just remember getting the call to do it, and then being in rehearsal with him, and he did the scream that everybody knows his scream. Like, ah! He did it in rehearsal, and I just got watery eyed.
Okay.
Like literally, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really playing for Ty Tribbett, and that was like just one of the highlights of my career.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. What about you, Ye?
I mean, my highlight will always be at this point. It's been being able to travel with LaRue.
Okay.
That's been like I've shared the stage with a lot of different people
Right.
in different places, different capacities, whether it be Jonathan Nelson or I did a recording that Fred Hammond was on, different stuff.
Right.
But like just the best experience I've ever had, like playing with somebody and traveling and just like being there is like LaRue is the top of the situation.
That's LaRue Howard.
Yes, sir.
If you don't know,
Right.
you should go.
Yeah. Mine would have to be James Fortune. It would have to be James. That was probably one of my first experiences.
Okay.
But it was probably one of my most influential experiences because there was a lot less pressure with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a lot less pressure, and at the time, I was performing with people who were my best friends at the time.
So it was a whole experience.
We had grown up together, so I knew he was him bringing me on to something he was a part of, and it was James, and then after that it was Fred, but James was that one. When I played with James, I was like, this is what I want to do. When it comes to like, I want this type of energy, and I don't think I've ever had any situation with James where I was like, not doing that again. I've never had that. You know what I mean? I didn't even have a moment of that with James. It's just a different liberty with him.
That's what's up. So the name of the podcast is The Agenda, right? And it talks about, Christianity, church, and all things. So musicians playing in the church realm, right? What should be the agenda of a musician? Like, church or wherever you're playing, like what, but mainly because we are talking about church, right? What should be on the musician's mind when he comes into a space? And I ain't talking about like, oh, he should be prayed up and he should be, you know what I'm saying? We know, I hope that's a given, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But like what should be on the agenda?
I mean, from what's cool about our situation is the fact that I think each of us has had a role at some point or another along our career being a music director, a band director of some sort, right?
Okay.
And so, I mean, I think we all can kind of speak from that perspective as far as our approach to things. For me, it's always been like my understanding of musicians in church is that we're to provide. The music is the vehicle that carries the word, like the word being the lyrics. That's the message.
Right.
The music is the vehicle that carries that message out. And so for me, it's been like, how do I take this vehicle and make it as efficient as possible? I'll make it, accessible, make it enjoyable, but not get in the way of the message that's going forth. You know what I mean? Like, how can I be the best at carrying? How can we create, something that's going to carry the message as effectively as possible without tainting it and without like causing people to be distracted from the message that's going out? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's real easy, like in the music world, in music in general, it's real easy to go from being a participator to a spectator. You know what I mean? And so, like, I just never wanted anything that I did or anything, like my approach to stuff, to cause people to become spectators versus actually being able to participate and receive of the message that's going forth, that's being carried by this music vehicle.
Which is the song.
Correct.
In that regard.
The lyrics, yeah, in that song, yeah. But that's me.
I from my experience, I've learned with my personal agenda whenever I'm playing for any worship service is to maintain the balance between knowing that it's a job and it's also a platform to be used by the Spirit, and to make sure that what I'm doing aligns with the spirit of the house. Wherever I'm at, when it comes to a worship service.
Yeah.
I had to learn that.
I think we all do.
Just learning, like, okay, I have a job to do, so this is work, but it's also a worship service, so God is supposed to be involved in some way.
He's supposed to be there.
He's supposed to be there.
He's supposed to be involved in some way, and according to the spirit of that house, and not trying to force a musical moment that don't match the spirit of that house.
Yes,
that is
something I had to learn, bro.
You know what I mean? You can't force, like I used to in my younger years, force my experience onto a worship service or a house that had nothing to do. That's not the cult. They didn't share that culture.
Right.
And when you force that, what happens is you've let your employer know that you don't care about what they're doing at that point. So by doing that, not only do you throw things out of alignment musically and somewhat spiritually, but now you just messed your job up. So like, okay,
and potential other jobs too.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, he's not gonna play ball with us. You know what I mean? It's like coming onto a team. It's like, no, don't do it like that. Do it like this. Well, no, that's what they do.
Right.
This is what we do.
Right.
And so I had to learn, like, okay, I'm not coming here to take over. I'm not coming here. I'm literally coming here to do a job and to do it and to follow how the Spirit leads according to the culture of that house.
Wow. That's all right. Jay, what's your agenda?
I'd like the house. Know the house. Is probably one of the biggest things that I just got from that. Like, you just made me think of it, because one of my issues, like I haven't played for as many churches as they have. So majority of my experience is more industry than it is church. And so I was traveling the road with an artist, and we had a culture. And it was working, and things were going really good. And I would try to bring that back to the church.
Yeah.
But the house wasn't that culture.
Right.
And so it just didn't match. So me trying to do that, I was having frustrations on the inside of me, because I was expecting, like, what's working over here? Why are we not doing it like this? And that's not the culture of the house. Know the vision for the house. Know the culture. Know what works here. And don't try to force your own thing.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to interject there, right? So you say know the culture, the vision of the house, and everything like that, right? So when you say that, you're more so referring to the pastor, the the atmosphere that he or she has set, right? And all those different dynamics, okay? And so I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and go to kind of the pastor dynamic. And that is like, should a musician, right, have a pastor? And does that pastor, if he does, he or she, all right, or does that pastor have to be of the church the musician plays at?
That's a really great question. That's a
It's a complex question.
So I'll tell you, I give you context.
It's
I give you
loaded.
context. Yeah,
It's
I give you
loaded.
context. So I saw on, I think it was on Facebook, I think it was, that somebody had said that they weren't a member, like they were just employed by a church, and they were there to play, and people were saying you need to be there to receive the word. As a matter of fact, I think it was a pastor that was like, these musicians, right?
Yeah,
they come and they play. They don't never want to receive the word. They go outside and they hang out. And then when it's time for the hooping, then they come back and they jump back on their, on their keys or, their instruments, right? And I saw many people, different comments and stuff like that. And personally, I've always just kind of been like, I mean, you did hire them. Like, I mean, they are hired, right? So what's you all's take on, should you have a pastor and should it be at the church that you play at?
Man, that's so loaded because there's so many different facets to that. You know what I mean? Like, should a person have a pastor? Right? Because if you think about if you're a musician, like before you're a church musician, you're a person.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So should a person have a pastor? Sure.
I don't want to hear that.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
But then at the same time, it's like, especially if you're a skilled musician and your gifts are needed in multiple places where you're serving in different places.
Yeah.
Like, are you mad now that we may not necessarily be counseling with you as our pastor if this is not the place where we primarily were, where we started?
Yeah.
Because in order for someone that I feel like me personally, I have, like, the relationship that I have with certain people are even closer than the relationship that I have with my pastor. You know what I'm saying? In certain regards.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, if I'm getting the counseling that I need and I'm able to find, get fed and maintain my spiritual growth.
Okay.
Like, from whatever resources that I'm utilizing to do that, then at some point it's like, you can't be necessarily upset with a person for not, like, coming directly to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you got kids, like if your kids has a situation and they're more comfortable with talking to somebody else about the situation than you, are you mad that they're not talking to you about it?
Yeah.
Or are you more excited because they're actually getting help with it in that direction if they don't have access to you?
Ego says me.
I knew you was gonna go there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, for a musician, like, again, if church musicians, for me, this is me. I can't speak for everybody. This is me.
Right.
But I'm a believer first before I'm a musician.
That.
You know what I'm saying? So I believe.
So hold on. And I gotta say it because, of course, people put, especially in the church world, right? They put musicians, right, on a pedestal, but then at the same time kind of push them to the side from the aspect of, y'all just a musician, so shut up and play. You know how they talk about in basketball, right? Yeah. Or in sports in general.
Sure.
Shut up and do what you're supposed to do. Don't say nothing else outside of, you get on the organ, you get on the keys, you get on the drums. Do that. Finish doing what you got to do. Make us jump, make us shout, whatever it is that you're supposed to do. And then you go home and accept this little $40 that we're going to give you, this love offering that we're going to give, which is a whole nother conversation. But
that's another one. Yeah.
right.
That's
so being put on that pedestal or even pushed to the side, right, is you said we're human first, like we're a person first, right? What does that kind of even make you feel like, even aside from the whole pastor conversation, like how do you feel about that?
I think Donyea can speak to that better than me.
My experience has been polarized on both sides. So it actually goes back to your initial question, because the complexity of it is like Ed said, should a person have a pastor? Let's just break it down to the foundation. From a professional standpoint and from a worship organization, are you hiring a believer? Let's just start right there. Start right there, and the rest of the stuff will be easy.
Should that matter?
It should definitely matter.
Okay.
If you're hiring in church,
if you're a religious organization, right? And this is what it is. That's like, that's it. Why would you work for a place, and why would someone hire you expecting you to participate as if you believe in what they're doing and you don't believe in what they're doing? We've had this conversation before, right? So it's like, okay, you're not really down with what's happening,
right?
It's gonna show up after a while. After a while, it's gonna show up.
Yeah.
So a lot of these churches, and I see church people online, and they're very quick to bash us as musicians, right?
Yeah.
The first thing is, you don't even know if that musician's a believer or not. You cannot quantify him or her not even knowing if they profess Christianity. You don't get that. You don't get to have anything to say.
Yeah.
Secondly, as a leader, human resources person, as an employer, as a pastor, it's your job to make sure that the people working for you believe that you all have the same beliefs, because you're a faith-based religious organization. So it's like, okay, we want to hire someone to help us worship God. Do you believe in God? Why would we hire you if you don't?
That's an interview question.
Just because you can play. That's like hiring a professionally trained atheist. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
They're not even gonna understand or comprehend the spirit of God and the move, and the
sensitivity.
That answers all the questions right there, right? So once you ask that, your initial question becomes easier, because anybody that has a heart for the people of God, whether employer or pastor, the first thing they're going to ask you is, who's your pastor? Who's your pastor? Are you a member of a church? Because I want to respect your membership somewhere else.
Wait, hold on, Donyea. Hold on. Wait.
That's the thing. It's a real thing.
So a question is, do you have a church, or who's your pastor, right?
Yes.
In your experience?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been in a space to where that pastor then at some point wanted to recruit you to be a part of their church because you're primarily playing there?
I've had a pastor basically dissolve his relationship with me because I wouldn't let him be my pastor.
I've had similar situations like that.
And I've known this man for 20-some odd years. But all of a sudden, because I won't pretty much break off and be at his church, then all of a sudden, we can't do this. And to me, that's ego. Yeah. That's 1,000% egotistical. There's no such thing. And you can break it. You can come out with all that jargon. I need sons and daughters, and I need this. All of that is manipulation. That's all manipulation. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, are you a believer? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Who's your pastor? If I care about you, I want to know who your pastor is.
Right.
Because if there's a situation that comes and you're obligated to be a church member at the time, right, I got to understand that.
Right.
Okay, so we need to find somebody to fill in for you, because you need to be at your church.
Right.
That's something, or your pastor's requirement as from a pastor to, he should understand that, because that's how you would want your members to be with you. But a lot of them are more driven by ego than not, and they would rather have they're more of hoarders of creativity and talent than they are winners of souls. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just want the best to look good, and I'm not really caring about the people that are working for me.
Yeah.
No job here and anywhere else do you want to work for, and your employer cares nothing for you. You're not going to stay there. You're going to find a better one. Why do I love this job? And what do they say? They don't pay as much, but they take care of me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That means something to a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, we get pushed to the side a lot and disregarded. And a lot of it has to do with two things. People just want to kind of feed themselves to make themselves feel better, because watching a creative enjoy what he's doing and get paid for it, that bothers people.
And make it look easy.
It bothers people. It bothers people. Just there's an innate sense of like, why do you get paid to do what looks enjoyable? And I went to school and college for 4 years and do all that, and I hate my job.
But you've been doing this since 2-3 years old, so your
old.
training has far superseded.
And people don't realize during that training process, nobody was paying us anything.
Nothing.
Right.
Nobody was paying us anything. You know how old I was when I started getting this? I'm 46. I didn't start getting a salary for what I do until I was 34.
So only for 12 years,
That's it.
you've reaped the benefits of your.
Everything else was
crazy.
$50 here, $100 here, a couple $100 here.
God
Everything
gonna
else
bless
was done out
God
of the
gonna bless
kindness
you.
of
God
my heart. Yeah. Everything else was done out of the
Let it
kindness of my heart, and and I'll speak for all three of us when I say most of that time, everything else is done because we love music.
Yep.
We'll just be
Which
there
is
because
good.
we just want to play. You know,
That's for real.
All right.
That's why I just let him have it, bro. Go ahead and give it to you.
All right. So, okay. So you say let them play, right? So this concept of playing skillfully. Because a musician is doing his or her job, when it's time for the word, okay, in that same church atmosphere.
Yeah.
This is good.
Okay. When it's time for the word, should the musician go sit in the audience to hear, or should he or she be able to chill and get fed later, be it at home or regrouping with the pastor later on? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm working from 10 to 12. I'm on the clock, right? You said pre-show that, you know, you got to be listening. I know for you, especially when you're sitting there, and I know when I preached, you automatically, you see Donyea in the corner, and he's just kind of walking up all of a sudden because he knows that I'm on the clock at that point, right? And so go back to the question, make sure I'm good. When it's time for the word, should the musician be able to, be able to chill, or should he go sit in the audience and receive the word?
He put it at me.
yeah.
Man, listen. Contrary to popular belief, when we're in service but we're not on our instruments, we're still working. Like musicians, especially church musicians, don't even hear service the same way everybody else does.
Hold on, go deeper right
Yes.
there.
We don't hear things the same way everybody else does.
That's
Okay.
good.
Think about it. So from the time the pre-service starts,
Okay.
right? Like for me, especially for me, like, and I'm relaying all these information, and we'll talk about that. Talk
Yep.
back, Mike, because we're doing there's a lot of coordination, and a lot of
Yeah,
things that are
yeah,
happening that the people in the congregation never even know is happening. But from the time the countdown clock starts till the time the benediction's happening, we're all constantly listening for, are we transitioning here? All right, who's coming up to do this right here? All right, cool. Hey, they need to make this adjustment in that thing over there, so this is happening over here.
And that's
This is-
to each other and
This is
to the
each other
sound.
and to our tech director, to people in the AV booth behind the console.
So they can hear you as well.
Yeah, this is everywhere. So these things are always happening. And when we step out, like, especially if we've just came out of an extremely high time of praise and worship, like, we tired.
I need some water.
Bruh, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Give me some water.
I need some water.
Because you don't want no water
I need
on
to
your
use the
stage.
bathroom. Like, I need a minute because we just put everything we had
Yeah.
for 40 straight minutes
Yeah.
into this thing. And then y'all got to sit down and clap and everything's cool. But we over here working.
So
like,
musicians get tired.
yeah, man, heck yeah.
What?
People don't realize how, like, okay.
Mentally tired.
Think, all right, if you say physically,
Yeah.
drummers automatically because they doing the
hands
most.
down.
Hands down, they doing the most. They got to be fit.
And all
It's
three of
tiring.
you play drums.
We all do.
Yep.
But even for just a keyboard player or a guitar player, whatever, mentally we have to be engaged because congregation is just singing the songs, follow the melody. If you don't want to sing, you don't sing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
If you don't want to lift your hands, you don't lift your hands. Who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? For us, if we decide, you know what, I don't want to play
don't
this
wanna
note,
play.
that doesn't happen. Like there's an emptiness in that space. We can't afford
Not
to
happening.
not do that
Right.
because now the vehicle is breaking down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And now it's distracting because you can't even focus on giving God praise and glory because now your ears are drawn away to something that's not there when it should have been.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even when we step off of our instruments, now we're still thinking about, all right, here's what's coming up at the end of this. All right, this song is coming. This thing is coming. All right, this is what he's talking about. So what songs are we getting? Like, we've had these conversations sometimes. In the chat.
Yeah.
Like, what song do we need to be prepared with coming up? Because he's going to close. We need to figure out how to make sure we're tying this all together.
Yeah.
Okay, this is happening here. Hey, he's getting ready to close. Oh yeah, by the way,
told me about
can
that
you
too.
make this
Yep.
adjustment in this thing over here because this wasn't right? We need to make sure that's fixed. All this stuff is happening while this is going on.
And then sometimes you have a preacher that does his own thing, and you got to figure that out too.
We got to figure it out.
Figure it
Yes.
Like I can't tell you how many times we gotten up, and there be times where we just randomly start singing songs, and we're like not there, and it's like, oh snap, get back on stage. We're going, let's go.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
These things happen.
Jay, what
Yeah.
you got to say, man? You're a humble servant.
We be tired.
Tired, bro.
I'm tired, boss.
That's for real.
I just be needing to decompress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just from I don't even got to get deep with it. My ears be tired. I need an ear break. I need a physical break. I need an ear break. I need a spiritual. I need to relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. The
Yeah.
spiritual thing. Because what about the times and the moments where we want to go? We want to shout with y'all, but we can't.
We can't.
We don't get to jump up and shout and run.
So I got to share this. So I told y'all earlier I played trombone, right? Mm-hmm. So my god brother actually kicked me out of the musicians corner growing up because he would say, "B, it's always your job to usher the people in." And I played trombone, and we had 2 trombones, 2 trumpets, we had a whole,
y'all had a whole brass section. Okay.
Growing up in the Sabbath, like that's all you gonna do on Saturday anyway.
Right.
So you
Gotcha.
better learn something. But anyways, I would always, whenever we got to worship, y'all see me, I fall on my face.
Abandoned
I just
posting out.
Yeah.
I'm just out,
care
and
about nobody.
it is what it is. And if I was supposed to have a certain lick or a certain point that I'm supposed to hit, it's now missed, to your point, right?
Yeah.
And so he said to me, he was like, bro, I don't know if being a musician might be the thing for you.
Not
because you
in
like to
this
worship,
capacity.
Yeah.
right?
Not in
you
this
like to
capacity.
worship, and he
Yep.
wasn't saying it disrespectfully, but I agreed with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That like I enjoy it, but at the end of the day, I like to worship. Like I like to be in that space. You know, people why don't you sing on the choir? Because I be jumping around the stage. Like I'd rather do it on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not restricted.
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, he was playing at a church in Atlanta, and the spirit got so high, and he got off and laid on the floor, right? So I texted him on Instagram. I DM'd him on Instagram, and I was just like, hey, didn't you kick me off for that?
I don't think it's for you, huh? Nah, it makes sense, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the amount of people who say things like that and like bash musicians for wanting to take a break or whatever, they will never know. Because first of all, we're working for the church when the doors are closed and the lights are off.
Yeah.
We're at home practicing these songs so you can shout. We're at home. We are constantly working so that you can enjoy yourself.
Get what you need.
So to come tell musicians, oh, you need to be sitting there listening for the word. Okay, first off, let's talk about how much poise it takes to be in a service that high and not move. That takes a lot of poise for us. Because there are times when we want to do what you all are doing.
Yeah.
But we also understand the spiritual importance of our position. Because if we stop, whatever spirit was ushered in so you can do what you're doing goes away.
Yeah.
So it's easy
a
to
noticeable difference.
It's a noticeable difference. So we have to stay here.
And anytime you see us actually lift our hand, just because it's like
You can't take it.
Like,
yeah,
can't
all of
take
us
it no
can't
more.
do it at the same time, bro.
You can't take it no
never
more.
can.
Who gonna get the track? Cut the track on. Cut the track on.
like I'll be hitting the cymbal with one hand.
Right.
Yeah, I just
Right.
stand up from
It's
time to time.
there.
I can't like just not.
But
like what?
And let me say this to people who are listening: it is not your job to quantify us as worshipers or not.
Look in that camera right there.
It is not your job. It is not your place. It is not your place to quantify whether we're worshipers or not based on what you see or don't see from us.
Yeah,
That's not your job.
that's a lot of pressure. to
That's
be applied to
not your
somebody.
job.
Yeah, that's,
And you're disrespecting the sovereignty, the universal and the omnipotent power of God in our lives when you talk to us that way or when you talk about us that way. Because that's telling us God should do you like he's doing me. That's funny. we're all different shades and colors or whatever, but we got to do what you're doing for you to believe that we have a relationship with God. And doesn't make any sense.
And what's not to say that, you know, because you said like during the service versus, again, if we're believers first, how many of y'all did devotionals today? Okay. How many of y'all was listening to your worship music? How many of y'all listened to a faith-filled sermon today?
Right.
So what you're saying is, if I don't get it when you get it, then I'm not getting it.
Yes. There it is.
That's a lot of pressure, bro. That's a little selfish. You know what I'm saying?
Sheesh.
And so you got, like, again, we're talking about church musicians. Like, if we're believers first, then know that we're doing our due diligence because we have to fill ourselves up to even stand on that stage and minister or sit behind our instruments and minister without tainting the atmosphere and the vehicle that we're bringing forth the word in.
Boom. So if, in other words, what they telling y'all is to humble yourself and pray.
Right. Just pray for us. Check in on us. Pray for us. But at the same time,
so you just said something, right?
Yes.
You said, you know, of course, humble, but pray for us, right?
Sure.
Right. Again, you're just doing the job.
It's true,
right? And so, and when I'm saying that tongue in cheek, so to speak, right?
Okay.
Like that's how you're seen. Just come and do your job, as if you don't have a person, like you don't have a family, you don't have concerns, you don't have this, you don't have that.
Absolutely.
You know, most of the time, prophetic, especially in the prophetic realm, everybody else gets it. But don't nobody turn around to the musician.
I remember that
it's
feeling.
shocking when that happens. You be like, oh snap!
I remember that feeling. I remember I was going through a very, very difficult time in my life, and I was playing for a revival, right, or some type of conference. And I remember his spirit got real high and was shouting, and the prophet at the time was calling everybody up, and he called up every musician except me. Every musician got a blessing, and I'm stuck playing shout music by myself on the organ. I will never forget that feeling.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me God passed me up, just me?
Wow.
How do you think that makes us feel?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When the truth is, I know now because I know better. The prophet, he was clout chasing because the musicians was related to somebody he wanted to get in with.
Let me wrap this thing up because I got about 10,000 other questions I can go. So because I was going to ask one more question, but I think we got to wrap this thing up. So a part of my agenda today was to ask this last question. All right? Ask this last question, right? I see that microphone. All right, I'm gonna forget the notes at this point. I see that microphone that every last one of y'all got.
We all got.
And this ain't old school quartet where you sit up there playing and singing. Right.
Yeah,
so we know for a fact ain't no singing happening. But I see some talking happening on these microphones and stuff like that. And I also see some laughter from time to time. What y'all be talking about on them talkback mics?
The laughter part is NDA signed. We all sign NDAs.
Right.
Like, you're not getting no information from that.
But you can pretty much bet any aspect of service that is happening at that point
is being discussed.
We're talking about it.
Wow.
We see it. We on stage.
We see everything.
Right. Absolutely.
We see everything.
Absolutely.
And force ourselves to not pay attention to it because we're trying to work.
I'm the person. I'm the person that's gonna point it out.
This guy.
I can't help it. I see it. I'm gonna say it.
There's been plenty of times where I would have. Let me just mute.
Turn this off. Yeah, mute that out.
Mute the talk back because I'm like, if I listen another second more, especially like he gets away with it because he's in a cage,
yes, right.
so they can't see him bowled over on his side cracking up.
Okay,
after we're done. But me, Ed, that like we in front. There are times one of the best things that could have ever happened.
Mask, so.
One of the best things that could have ever happened is we got to wear masks so nobody could see me smiling. Right. But there are times when I would have to mute the talk back because if I listen anymore, I'm gonna break character. But Also, in our defense, most of the time we are talking to each other about each other.
Yeah, we're not talking about y'all.
Boy, what
it
did
has
you
nothing
just
to do-
play? Like,
Yeah,
what,
that whole
was that
thing.
okay? Oh, you did?
Yes.
You missed,
Like Sunday, we will be like,
Violence.
"Hey, man, my hands ain't working.
No, nothing was working.
My hands ain't working," and we're trying to explain to each other because we know
Hold on.
what.
So
we,
all of y'all like
All
say
of
my
us.
hands
Some-
are-
we'll have an
he
off
was
day.
shedding this Sunday. He was killing. But me and Donyea and maybe Mark could not figure out
We
what was
couldn't
going on
figure
with
it
our
out.
hand. He was sending. He was sending. And so it was him sending. It carried over to me and
Okay.
Mark.
Okay.
So blame
So your
him.
sins.
Yeah. But I was able to push through because of the
Man,
anointing.
I
on
couldn't
my
do. I couldn't
gosh.
do. I couldn't even.
but-
Even behind Pastor LA, I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
just,
Is he like
it
that?
just wasn't happening. But I know those days happen, you know. And everybody be like, "Boy, you show us playing," but I know I wasn't.
Right.
Nah, bro. I
So
know I wasn't.
okay. I got time for this last one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So when you say that, right? What was the last thing you said? Because I want to make sure we got time. What's the last thing
Sometimes
you
you're
said?
playing and your hands just don't work.
So sometimes you're playing, your hands don't work.
They just don't do what you want them to do.
The reflection part. Because, I've preached sermons and then after you're like, man, like I didn't say this. I didn't say that part. I didn't do this, right? And you get in your own head and now you think
course.
that you done just bombed and stuff like that. Like, are there collectively and individually, are there Sundays where y'all be like, yeah, bro, that they won it?
100%,
Really?
100%. And it's extremely hard to take, like, to receive compliments on those days because you know you was terrible.
Terrible.
Like,
Trash.
you know you just, like,
Yes.
you rehearse all week or all month or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get on stage thinking that you're going to play the same way you rehearsed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it just doesn't happen.
Don't even come out that way.
And it's crazy how because when you're in that scenario, like when we're in rehearsal and we're executing and stuff and it's great, it's because we're in a controlled environment. But for me, I know if this thing changes, if we're talking about this and we had to do this from that now and this is now that, now I have to refigure out this thing. Or if this had just got re-EQ'd before we started playing, now my stuff don't even sound the same. So now I'm trying to figure out in my mind, did I do something different? What's wrong? Like why is and all this is happening while these songs are being played and while service is going. And we're constantly trying to communicate with each other. So there have been times where we as a band just missed a whole thing.
I can always tell when we had those days.
Okay.
Because on the good days, we in the group chat complimenting all the actor, but on Sundays we're just blank. Nobody says anything.
Right.
That it was like, all right, we got to get it next week. Because there are times.
It probably really don't even be that bad
It really don't.
out there to y'all.
So they never know.
But we just know
We just hold ourselves to that standard.
To that
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we just hold ourselves to that standard.
Okay.
Like it could be sound check could be killing.
Amazing.
Sound check now. And just 20 minutes later, we like, what happened? I don't know.
Like everything sounds different. Everything feels different.
It just felt
And this is all happening while the congregation.
Well,
is
the
none the
congregation, they
wiser.
just have no idea.
Yeah.
So I gotta throw this last one out there because I said I was. Why do musicians go from church, growing up in church, to secular? That's my last question.
It's a great question. I mean, that's loaded too. It's loaded too because I've learned, especially in the last handful of years, you go where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated.
There it is. That's
All right.
There it is.
Well,
I mean, it kind of is what it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're fortunate. The situation that we are all in is a situation that treats us well, you know? But that's not the case for every church musician who's actually trying to serve and striving to do right and being mistreated or misused or abused.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to stay. Like, why would you stay at your job if you're just tolerated or not appreciated? If you feel like you're undervalued, why would you stay there?
Right.
Why is it any different?
Yeah.
You know
what
what I
was you
mean?
gonna say?
I mean, that's one aspect of it. I think the other aspect of it is that we all have bills,
That too.
and bills got to be paid.
And the church ain't
And
paying them.
sometimes the church isn't. Sometimes
right.
the church isn't, and I
Right.
think a lot of people are going to say you selling yourself.
Yeah.
But that's not. That is just.
Piggyback
What do you
on
say
it.
to those people though? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to make
for
this
it.
like a
Go
deep,
for it.
you know, like we on television, you know, look into that camera and say, like, what do you
Here's
say
the
to people
issue.
like that?
Okay. So what I say to those people is, okay, go to your job, tell them you're quitting because you want to do whatever profession it is you're in for the church. Because your job is secular. The 7-Eleven is secular.
You selling alcohol.
The way
Sir.
you don't get to quantify that. Like, you playing for a world. No, the problem is you have inner convictions about what you're listening to, and it puts you in a sinful mind state. So you feel like anything associated with that is in a sinful mind state.
So Donyea, I gotta hit you then. I'm tired. It just came to mind. A couple Sundays ago, you hit us with y'all hit us with I think it was like Michael Jackson in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
Like it was and it may have been a little while back, right?
Human nature.
But yes.
Yeah.
And I heard it, of course, because I be hearing music and y'all know how my mind goes, right?
Yeah.
What is that in the church?
The problem is people associate the lyrics with the music together. It's the lyrics that have the iniquity in it. The music by itself is pure. It's when you put lyrics to it that change the mindset of the people that are listening.
All right, let's wrap this thing.
You see what I'm saying?
This is good.
It's true, bro.
If you take some of the lyrics away and just leave the music,
Yeah.
outside of that, the only reason why you associate that with worldly music is because the lyrics.
I'll do you one better, bro.
Okay.
So I've had the opportunity to minister with different people in a few different places. And there was one time we were in a real high place of worship, and this particular worship leader, she started to sing through the fire.
Yeah.
Through the fire.
Through the fire.
It was
It's through the fire. Yeah.
Yeah, through the fire.
Shaka Khan.
Yeah, Shaka
Yep.
Khan. But it was a sincere, heartfelt, spirit-led worship moment because the lyrics of that song was saying, I'll trade everything else for you. I'll walk through the fire to get to you, my God. And it was an incredibly impactful, high moment of worship, and people was laid out on their faces.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's your heart?
Yeah. That's
Intent.
bottom,
When
that's,
you listen to
that's
that,
the bottom line. Is
what
it
was
is.
your intent for doing that?
You
All
know?
right.
And
Like-
for me, getting back to the secular thing, is that the reason why I open myself up to that business in that industry is because for a long time I was trying to make the church my platform. Because I felt like that's where God's going to bless me. That's where God's going to bless my career. That's what I'm going to do this. I'm going to make all this noise for God. And the two things that God said to me was, what if what you want to do for me isn't what I want you to do for me?
Ooh.
That's number one.
Right.
And number two is, that's not your platform. That's my platform. You go get your own platform.
It's crazy, right? Think about it, man. John the Baptist was ministering in the desert, but he was no less of a preacher than Jesus was ministering in the tabernacle.
Come on, Ed.
Right?
Come on.
But
That's it.
Come
the
on.
tabernacle
By the time
wasn't
somebody
John the
opened their
Baptist.
Bible.
The tabernacle wasn't John the Baptist.
agenda.
That's not his platform, right?
Yeah, no, it
was out there in the
was just
desert.
not my platform, and we were discussing before when I came to this ministry. I came to this ministry piggybacking off of a Teddy Riley tour. Right during a Teddy Riley tour, it's probably one of the most destitute tours I'd ever been because I was away from my family. Right, from February to May, I was away from my family. My son was 2 at the time, and so I felt like I was just so far away from God at the time. And what I didn't realize was 80% of the staff and the musicians and the roadies, and we was all church people. I didn't realize that until Easter Sunday during sound check. Instead of rehearsing the material for the show, we had a worship service on stage.
Wow.
The staff, the lights, the band, everybody. There was no show at that time. We made it about God, and then we moved on. And it was then that I understood the omnipresence of God too. And that scripture comes to mind when God says, when Jesus said, there are other sheep I have that's not of this fold, which means everybody's not doing what you're doing, but they're still my sheep. Everyone doesn't act like you act, but they're still my sheep. Everyone isn't exposed to the culture you're exposed to, but they're still my sheep. So who are you to quantify? There are people who don't go to church at all. It's not their culture, but they still belong to God. They're still God's sheep. Their heart belongs to God. So who are we to quantify who does and who doesn't?
And what's crazy is people don't ask these questions about people in other industries.
That right there.
You know what I'm saying? Like people, they'll give it to the musicians like that.
Right.
But when you think about other industries, like we all know Denzel Washington Jr. is a very devout Christian. Goes to a very prominent, black church in L.A.
Okay.
But then he played Trinity. He played dude from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely like they're complete
Right.
polar opposites of, well, you're a believer. Well, you're this guy. But was it a job?
Yeah. It's a
So
job.
So it's more of a standard more than it is just I want to hold you to this standard because this is who you profess, right? And because this person gets the award and say, I want to thank God, it's okay to say, you know what, I like that. But when a musician says, I'm playing for whoever I'm playing for secularly, I give all praise and honor to God. Oh, you can't do that, and because you can't serve two masters. That's the first scripture.
And truth be told, like, and for me, like, I feel like every musician's personal convictions, like, everybody works out their own soul salvation with fear and trembling, right? That's what the Bible says, right?
Come on, Bible.
So for me, certain things, like certain gigs, I won't take because it conflicts with my spirit.
It conflicts with your spirit, but it's not a matter of opinion from the people.
Correct.
It's convicts
me. It's me.
All right.
If I make the choice to not do it, it's me. That's me standing on my convictions. But you can't choose that for me.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I would love to keep going and going because I got a lot of questions for musicians.
I guess we're about to go part 2 or something.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed this conversation because it really exposes an agenda, right? Like it really exposes an agenda. And I appreciate this conversation today more than anything because not only did it speak from a musician's heart, but it spoke to like people, right? Like know all of our place. You said something to me a couple weeks ago. You was just like, we all got a job to do. We all got a role to play, right? And so your role might be ushering people in, but we all have a different role to play. If we just all do our part, as the Bible talks about being the body, we'll all benefit in the end, right? Y'all, this has been The Agenda. I don't got no formal outro outside of we'll see you next time.